Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to plunge into some really fascinating, maybe even unsettling territory.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, everything we're discussing today comes directly from one specific source teachings shared by Sheikh Nurjan Miramati.
Exactly. Our aim is to really unpack the narrative presented there. It connects ancient events, spiritual beings, a specific place.
And ties it all into prophecies, modern events, even figures like the Dajjal. It's quite a unique perspective.
It really is. The source talks about certain angels, jinn, who fell from grace, their imprisonment, and a kind of power linked to them.
A power that, according to this source, has direct lines to things happening right now. It connects history, spirituality, hidden agendas, all based on these specific teachings.
Okay, so where does this narrative begin?
Well, the source takes us way back to Azazel. Before he became Shaitan, he was teaching, apparently.
Teaching. Angels and jinn.
Yes, but the source emphasizes something crucial. The knowledge might have been pure, but Azazel's character, his pride, his arrogance, it sort of tainted the transmission, like looking through a distorted glass.
Ah, okay, so the beings learning from him, they weren't just getting information.
They were absorbing his character, that pride, that arrogance. That's the key point the source makes.
Right. And this leads to the test.
Exactly. Allah Almighty commands everyone to bow to Adam rising. And this test, it wasn't just about obedience. It exposed Azazel's hidden pride. He refused.
And because they picked up that same arrogance.
Many of those angels and jinn who learned from him also refused. The source distinguishes them, from others who might have questioned out of genuine concern. These were the ones infected by Azazel's pride.
Got it. So refusal led to consequence.
Expulsion. Allah Almighty cast Azazel and all those who followed his prideful example out of the heavens, down to earth.
So that's the first group. Cast out for arrogance, linked to Azazel.
Right. And the source claims that once on Earth, this group, they mixed with humans and started what's called a fitna. Confusion, turmoil.
How do they do that? What form did this fitna take?
Well, the source points to specific things. It claims they taught mankind deception as a kind of spiritual warfare.
Like what specifically?
Things like music and makeup are mentioned, presented as tools taught by these fallen beings who are, angry about being cast out because of Adam as...
So the idea is that these weren't just cultural developments, but actual tools of deception.
According to this narrative, yes. Meant to mislead humanity, to make misguidance the very nature of the knowledge they brought to Earth. It was war against the children of Adam and Eve as...
Okay, that's quite a heavy concept for things like music and makeup.
It frames it as part of a much larger ongoing spiritual conflict.
All right. So that's the initial fall and the start of this fitna. But then the source brings up Harut and Marut. Is this related?
It's related in theme, but the source presents it as a separate event happening later. A different situation, different angels.
Not part of that first group cast out with Azazel.
Correct. This is the story of Harut and Marut specifically. And the source says they were sent down as a test, but a test for them.
A test for them? How so?
The implication in the source seems to be they perhaps thought life on Earth, human struggles, were easy. Maybe they felt they could handle it without falling. How hard could it be? Sort of thing.
Underestimating the challenge.
Profoundly. Because the source claims they failed the test almost immediately, like within the same day they arrived.
Fail how?
By committing major sins. The source mentions fornication, killing, drinking, a total fall from grace.
Wow. So their failure served a purpose.
As a lesson, according to this perspective, a stark demonstration to other angels watching. Human life is incredibly difficult, constantly under spiritual attack. Faith requires immense struggle, repentance, humility. It's not easy down here.
So Harut and Marut weren't expelled for pride like the first group, but failed a specific test they were sent for. What happened to them then? What was their punishment?
According to the source, they weren't just punished, they were left as a sign on Earth.
Where?
Specifically, the source claims they are held inside the Tower of Babel, in a place called the Well of Babel.
The Well of Babel. And this is where things get intense.
Very. Because the source makes a really significant claim about this well. It's presented as the ultimate source, the origin point of all black magic on Earth.
All of it stemming from this one place.
That's the assertion. The source uses a specific, powerful phrase for what's contained there. Knowledges of angels' mass destruction.
Knowledges of angels' mass destruction. That sounds apocalyptic.
It's portrayed as ancient, potent spiritual knowledge, now twisted. Immensely powerful and destructive, coming directly from these two imprisoned fallen beings.
And this ancient power, this leads to the source's claims about modern times, right?
Yes, specifically connecting it to the Iraq War. This is probably the most startling claim in this narrative.
What's the claim?
The source alleges that the stated reason for the war finding weapons of mass destruction was, well, not the real reason, a cover story.
So what was the real objective, according to this source?
To reach the Well of Babel. To seize control of that source of black magic, those knowledges of angels' mass destruction.
That was the primary goal, seizing ancient magic.
That's the perspective presented in the source. It frames the entire conflict in that region around this hidden objective. And again, we're just reporting what the source material states here.
Yeah, and does the source say if this objective was achieved?
It follows up by claiming that, yes, the area around the well was immediately secured right after the war began. Restricted. No normal access possible.
Okay, so the well was allegedly reached and secured. Why? What was the purpose of seizing this destructive knowledge?
Here's where it connects directly to the end times narrative in the source. It claims people were brought to the well after it was secured.
Brought there to do what?
To learn. To extract and learn what was needed from that well. Specifically, the source says, for the arrival and purposes of the Dajjal.
So seizing ancient angelic destructive knowledge was step one.
And step two, according to the source, was harnessing it, learning it, in preparation for this major eschatological figure, the Dajjal.
Wow. So this narrative weaves together ancient angelic falls, a specific location in Iraq, black magic, a modern war, and the Dajjal.
Exactly. It draws a continuous line. And the source suggests that all of this contributes to the changing world we see.
How so?
The combination. The initial fitna, the deceptions taught by the first group, the music, the makeup, the confusion, plus the powerful destructive magic unleashed or accessed from the Well of Babel, it all fuels the spiritual warfare, the misguidance.
Accelerating change, pushing things towards a certain conclusion.
That seems to be the implication. The source loops back, suggesting those initial deceptions weren't trivial, but foundational methods of attack, still active today, paving the way perhaps for what's coming.
It paints a picture of a very long, very hidden war.
A spiritual war with tangible consequences, manifesting through history, locations, and even, according to the source, modern military campaigns and technological or societal shifts driven by hidden knowledge.
Okay, let's just quickly recap the main points of this narrative arc we've traced, remembering this is all based purely on the perspective from the source material by Sheikh Nurjan Miramati.
Right. We started with the source's account of certain angels and jinn adopting Azazil's pride, refusing to bow, being cast to earth.
And initiating fitna, confusion, teaching deception, things like music, makeup as spiritual warfare.
Then, separately, the story of Harut and Marut, sent as a test, failing dramatically, and being imprisoned, the source says, in the Well of Babel.
And that well being identified by the source as the ultimate origin point of all black magic, the knowledges of angels' mass destruction.
Leading to the really striking claim connecting that well to the Iraq War, alleging the war's true goal was seizing this power.
And asserting that this captured knowledge was then studied in preparation for the arrival of the Dajjal.
It's a complex, challenging narrative presented in this source material, connecting ancient spirituality to very current events.
Which definitely leaves us with a lot to think about. Here's something for you, the listener, to consider based on this perspective. How might these ancient spiritual conflicts, as this source describes them, still be influencing unseen forces shaping our world right now?
Or perhaps, think about this, if you consider the source's view on widespread deception and powerful hidden knowledge being actively used, how does that change the way you perceive the challenges and changes happening all around us today?
It certainly gives you a different lens to look through.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a very unique source.